Thanksgiving dinner is right around the corner. And is there someone in your family that keeps making that sweet potato casserole year after year? And are you secretly wishing you could tell them that you really don't like it? Then this video is for you. I'm going to share with you a great sweet potato recipe that is savory, not sweet. And it's so easy.
All I have not provided.
Before we get started, I wanted to show you my dress. It turned cooler right in time for Thanksgiving, and I get to use this flannel dress that I made from 2 men's flannel shirts that I bought at a thrift store. So be sure to check that video out. It's not making any fashion statements, but it sure is warm and comfortable. I harvested these sweet potatoes about 2 weeks ago, so they've been curing for 2 weeks. That's really important if you grow your own sweet potatoes. Let them cure a couple of weeks before you try to use them. So sweet potatoes, garlic, 1 or 2 cloves, just depends on how much you like garlic. I happen to like garlic, so I'm going to use 2. Olive oil, salt and pepper to taste, and I also grow my own rosemary. Rosemary is one of my favorite herbs to work with. It goes great with vegetables, poultry, pork, even bread. Now this plant is probably around 15 years old. Once a year or so, I'll cut it way back. You can see where I've cut it here and down in here, and it causes it to branch out. Today, all I want are the very ends where the real tender leaves are growing. So it's basically the new growth that you're cutting to use. Let me find 1 or 2 more. I'm going to peel the sweet potatoes first. Some of the sweet potatoes need a bit of trimming up. I'm not sure what makes those spots there, but we just cut those off. So I start out with some olive oil, and that should be plenty. What you're going to be doing is coating your sweet potatoes with the olive oil. Next, press some garlic in there. If you don't have a garlic press, chop your garlic real fine. Isn't that the neatest tool? I love it. This garlic press is probably, well, I know it's at least 20 years old. So if you invest in a good one, you'll have it for a long time. So there's the garlic. And we're going to add the rosemary. So we only want the very tender tips. Just pick off the leaves. And even though I picked the real pliable ends, I still don't want those stems in there. Just the leaves. Now this is an ulu knife. My daughter bought this particular one from Alaska, but you can get them on Amazon. This is the coolest thing. So the cutting board has a little bowl shape, and you just rock it back and forth. You see that? It just makes real quick work of it. So whether you have an ulu knife or not, just chop it up real fine. I love this ulu board and cutter at this time of year because I love fresh cranberry bread. And if I have to cut cranberries, they kind of have a tendency to want to fly away from you when you're trying to cut them. But you can put a few in the bottom of this bowl, and it solves that problem. Okay, so you see this is pretty fine. Let's see if I can get some scooped up here for you. Okay, pretty fine. That goes right in there too. Turn this over. I'm going to use a sharp knife here. And we want to cut the sweet potatoes into chunks. You see how I'm holding my hand like this? It's real important how you cut hard veggies like this and winter squash. You never want to put your hand like this, and you sure don't want to act like you're stabbing it like this. Because you know what? If this handle is even the slightest bit greasy or you lose your grip, look what happens. I hesitate to even try to demonstrate it. I had a friend that happened to, and she needed surgery. It wasn't like she got a cut. She just cut way down into the tendons. So if it's something like a hard squash and you still can't get through, this is what you do. You keep a hammer in your kitchen. And you just hold it. Just be sure that you have a knife that runs all the way down, or else you'll be hammering off the blade from the handle. So I'll just cut the bottom here. Do a nice chunk. This is how I open up my pumpkins. Hard winter squash, even spaghetti squash can be really hard to cut. Now I really don't need the knife here, but I'm just demonstrating to you a way to be safe with these hard veggies. There we go. The size of your potato is going to affect how long you have to bake them. So I like them about 1 bite size. Which is, I guess about 1 inch or so wide. Okay. I think this one needs it. Okay, now you can use a spatula, but I prefer just get in there, mix it all up. If you want to mix it into a bowl first, that's your option. I just, one less dish to wash. Make sure they're really good and coated with the oil and the garlic and rosemary. It already smells good. Spread them out, a single layer, because you are roasting these. Now, you can add things like carrots and parsnips, turnips, rutabaga, and just make a mixture of roasted root vegetables. It's delicious. Just use the same mixture that you're going to coat it with. Some salt and pepper. That's it. Isn't that easy? It's ready to go in the oven. This is my new oven and I love it. It has convection bake, roast, regular bake, broil, air fry, keep warm, bread proof, and dehydrate. We don't want to air fry these potatoes. They really need a slower baking time. Otherwise you'll dry it out. So I've chosen just plain old bake, and it is preheating right now, but I set it at 375. I'm going to go ahead and slide them in now. I'll come back in about 30 minutes, give them a test to see if they're tender, and we'll go from there. They might need a little bit longer, but that's when I start checking. I did check them at 30 minutes and they were nowhere near done. So now they've gone for about 20 more minutes and they are tender, but I'm going to go ahead and turn them just so we can get a little bit more color on them. And we'll come back in about 10 minutes. So 30 minutes plus 20, so altogether about an hour. So they are tender. Ooh, very tender. And they've got a little bit of a caramelization on them, just a little bit. Those are great. Perfect. So they are a little bit crispy on the outside, very tender on the inside. See here? Very tender. And yet the outside is a little bit crusty. Nice. Just in time for Thanksgiving. Go ahead, be brave. Tell Grandma you heard about this great recipe you want her to try. You'll be glad you did, and so will she, I promise. Thanks for watching.
Great is thy thankfulness, Lord, unto me.